I just want to go ahead and get straight to the point that it's no wonder that I'm unhappy. It's no wonder that I'm here like a pinup doll, and that's it. That's exactly the way that I was formed. Kind of like taking an animal to the vet to get its shots, and you can't get it to calm down. You kind of have to wrestle it. You sort of have to, it's kind of, excuse me. It's like the center point of like part of oneself kind of has to be stuck and die. Like people take bugs with pins. Hopefully they were dead to begin with, but um but a lot of change is painful. And I think that, taking lots of classes, personal development classes, breath work. I was taking a lot of wild success classes with Calvin Coils and several other teachers, a human design course. I took a orgasmic meditation class with One Taste, and like these are very high pressure classes. And a lot of the times people like myself are isolated to be the test subject. A lot of these, they work together to, like that they've been working together for a period of time, and they like, oh, like fresh, like whatever like. So basically I've endured a hazing a multitude of times. and in and not just a hazing type thing, but a hazing in this pinned up state. And feeling as if that you have to have a certain quality to be on a camera, or feeling as if that like for me, I never wanted it to, like it's never been required of myself to be in a certain figure. My whole point is to allow myself to be seen in a very vulnerable, open, honest state that I didn't realize was going to develop into, maybe me making more sense to myself than I ever imagined. And so work is doing fine. Oh, excuse me. Are you okay? Hello? Question mark. Yes. Part of, you know, letting go of that part of myself that, was pinned. Like for example, I make macrame, and some of my projects I may use, 20, 30 different pins to hold the item in place, like some people do, string work, needlework. And it takes a lot of stretching and also, oh shit. And it takes a lot of keeping the original piece in place. And it's just it's crazy to like I have visions of different things that I don't talk about because I feel as if that they are very like horror movie. Hi Ian, hi Andrea, thanks for coming in, guys. And I think that I continue to follow this path because I think some people get really like they want to hear about it, and I'm just like it's I'm saving myself for a better part of myself. It's just not what I want. And so, transitioning excuse me, out of a mentality that requires me to for one be inside, like I deal with a chronic condition, if you and yeah, I mean, like, that was obviously overperformed, but like, who's cooking, who's driving? That's just the thing. If you don't know who's cooking or driving and all the people that might be cooking or driving, especially when you are going to the hospital and, having doctors and things like that, you don't really know who all's hands are within. And and so part of that being that, like you just like when you take your animal to go get its shots from the vet, you may have to have a few assistants to hold them in place. And, like maybe I'm a little bit wild than I actually, you know, um, have claimed. And part of that being, I think that it's good for oneself to, maybe choose to do the right thing and stay humble than to actually know what they are. And that's the case for me. And, that's the case that I'm beginning to open is that, I've not really got to see who I am. And part of that, like should be a great, beautiful, amazing gift that some people they really excuse me, they have always had that on a surface level. Ian says, "How is your boyfriend?" And I don't have a boyfriend. Damien Huntley, you good? Yeah. Um, but like back to the original, like I'm transitioning from a place of feeling like a science project to being able to see the progress and truths of my name's Nikki Zeppelinial Nail. Um, because when I think about, like when I started making videos, I think about, like being a teacher of one of these classes, helping other people. And it's weird because, like that may be what I reflected from, but if you, like change like an x-ray, it does the opposite, right? Like when you take a picture of yourself from the outside, the outside of yourself, the light sees it. But if you take an x-ray, it has that effect, and almost like inverted. And so whenever that you go to make like a projection, like if you had one of those old projectors in high school, or middle school, or I don't know, I guess they probably still have them. I'm tired of I'm tired of for me. I'm tired of can't tie it. There we go. And the color that goes what goes through is what you can see on the wall. And so for me, while I've in my mind been very genuine about what that I am and want to do, there is an old projection making this vision for other people, and are almost like a reverse blueprint, like a blueprint. Whereas that I've almost been, like stuck here. People out their phones are like right here. But like this is where that I, kind of, or like when you play capture the flag and you freeze somebody and they stand where they can't move, until someone unfreezes them. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly like that. Yes, exactly like that. But the thing is that how often do people go through this? I don't have a way. Oh my goodness. I don't have a way to, you know, excuse me, that was really, that was pretty rough. Um, so, as we slowly pull the pins away from, myself, the science project, the experiment, I can slowly start to see, that, slowly unfreeze and your face sticks just like it was. But also, the original screen has to be, taken away. Otherwise, I will not be able to project for myself. Maybe this is sort of a trial run, open the door just a little bit. No, don't open the door. I don't like open doors. Leave it alone. I have to reset from it because I spilled my coffee. That means I'm on an angle. That means that I still have like a pin on my right top and a cross above my head that is like sticking out. So part of this process, has to do with I have physical pain. And my head doesn't feel very good part of the time. And, some days are really, 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 really hard. And some days I have to claim my territory in my mind. Otherwise, I am susceptible to an open world full of viruses and contaminants and stuff that I don't want. And, which means like more things to think about, process, deal with. Basically, saying I have enough of what I need, and this takes all of my time, and part of that is closing the door. But I also want to be able to be a light to others and to allow others to grow alongside of, my projection. People start somewhere, and, it's good to know that, that this is becoming manageable, because at one point it was, people like freak out. They don't know what to do. And, like, things only get done so quickly. But, like, I think that for me, I have had to almost be such a hard ass, like a rigid reality of myself. Part of that is actually like soothing part of, what actually has caused that feeling, because, some people have created the state that they're in, and some people are a product of the state that they're in. There's some people who are rigid and hard, but certain people can go in and make them very, very soft. And so, whenever, if you're thinking, because like I'm in a teacher mentality, I've always been in a teacher mentality when I probably need a teacher in some ways. So, like, if you want to be a teacher, you want to talk about it, like, that's what I'm here, doing, thinking, saying about. You know, part of me is sort of mastering every angle of myself. Understanding, this is this, round and round and round, so you understand a sphere really well. The head is round. It may not be spherical, but it's round-ish. Yeah. Moto worlds. The light triggers my migraine. There's... yeah. Sometimes our symptoms can be from something very, very hard to detect. But I'm trying to decide, what's the best way to go about helping other people, because clearly just me talking about my experience and what I understand about it isn't, is that going to be the most effective, or do I allow people to hire me and have like one-on-one, clients that they can kind of spill their reality, and I can say, this is what I've learned, this is what I see. And so for me, as I'm still transitioning out of, kind of being the test subject, or like becoming in a way of being cured, that I'm going to want to decide, how do I do this? And this blueprint that I was created from, with all the pins and stuff. Oh, what do you see? What do you like? What are you? It has been very generic, so I really can go a lot of directions. But, fact is that for me, I still very much am healing. I deal with a lot of really difficult things. Now, the past few days have felt better, but as long as that can sustain, I can, go out into the world and help. Excuse me. Shit. Um, I think for me, a lot of this has just been a lot of talking, but I'd really like to get into like some different activities more. Like I planted some seeds. Did you see my plants that I planted some herbs, and it was raining one day and I took them outside. Oh shit. And wow. Yeah. So like they got too much water and they like overflowed. Like I don't know how. It was like somebody took a bucket of water and like poured it on top of them. And so instead of having plants blooming, I have like, I don't know what the hell's going on. And so we're going to dump those out and replant them. Maybe the seeds were old. I think that's probably what it is. And then give it another go. Also, I do actively make and sell bracelets. Here's one that I made last night. And those pink ones look weird on there like that in the light, or in here. But some of these little shells are really super pretty. And so I'm going to be doing this says made with love. Made with love. But I'm going to be doing these for $10. So you could buy 5 for $50 and have free shipping. And I have a lot of inventory. So if that's something you're interested in, is something that I am happy to you know, I'm thinking of doing one of two things. One of them is having mystery bags so that you buy them and I randomly choose them out of a place where I can't see, like little packets that you can't see through. and open them live for people that purchase them, or that you can choose from the ones I have that are done, and or even maybe both. If you find one that you want, but you want like like you want to buy these two, but I want three random ones. And I also make macrame ones, and so I'm still figuring out what exactly it would take to make that fully happen. I really could just do it right now. So if someone wants to be the first one to buy one of these, I have a PayPal. I have a website. If you're local, I have a card reader. But fact of the matter being, I've been on my own for a long time. I have to I have to have a source of income, although that, I'm still in this transitional reality of myself, like I can no longer work full time at Walmart. I just can't do it. Just cannot do it. And I've made stuff like this for a really long time. I just haven't made a lot of it lately. But like different days, different types of problems, different, pains. Some people don't have a lot of, these things, but it also would help if I had a partner, if I had someone checking on me, like instead of receiving messages that say cross A plus question, and then someone stating their name, that it would be nice to have a conversation. Like I think that some people get upset and angry, but part of it is also, some people, they don't realize the amount of damage that they cause people by continuously, instead of you know responding to the situation, they continue to like build, like people build on top of my reality. And that's fine, but it makes it harder, for one, for me to get started, because while that I could be making revenue, that people are making sales online, like mental sales. So it's like a bunch of blockages. It's tough. But that's just the thing. Like I just kind of, deal with it like around the world, like today I'm making bracelets. Tomorrow I may have to be sleeping 20 hours, like it just depends on my mental state, my level of pain that I'm in. And maybe the next day I can start going to somewhere, like I went to a nature center one day, and I think part of it is getting used to being able to like share all of this with you guys. And I think that that'll be the best help for me. I think that unconsciously, I know unconsciously, that partially that's what I'm really missing. I think that I really want to be a person who can be loved from every angle. I've put a lot of like love and desire and being somebody who can, you know, excuse me, easily be um, giving love back as soon as that it's received. And I know that that's hard to understand, but some people that know me, that know, I I haven't cut that off from people. People, they, feel something and they, immediately react, and I don't. It's part of a motherly type of a personality for me, and I don't want to deprive other people of what I have to give, but whenever that someone sits there with a straw as big around as my cup going not realizing that they're actually guzzling, you know, my real life, it's hard. This is part of an awareness that I don't have any problem, being who I am, but like you need a smaller straw. It just, like it's just a reality, like and people don't realize the effect that they have on other people, I think, is the other thing, so today I am attempting to see myself in a little bit less rigid and more setting myself into a place where that I can have a satisfactory, high functioning love with my viewers. And so I appreciate you being here. We'll see you next time.